Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you are all safe and well. Yes, I am back. It is Sunday night, and I hope you have all had a good 2 weeks. I've had a rather busy one between a bit of time off, as well as a few other things in the background. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about a few things. We may be talking about the fact that YouTube may be forcing an ad on you guys halfway through this stream. Genuinely, I don't know what's going to happen. There has been changes to the way YouTube is handling ads, and it's just warned me that now would be a good time to insert an ad. Go away. I don't want to do that. I am trying everything I can do to avoid mid-rolls. I do not want mid-rolls on this channel. And I am going to continue that stance as long as YouTube allows. But more importantly, we're going to talk a bit about FPV. Now, this week's subjects are going to be Avatar HD. Is there a version 2 goggle around the corner? Because things are looking very, very interesting. And I did touch on this a little bit 2 weeks ago when we discussed the China ban. But actually, everything that's going on does sort of hint that there might be a version 2 on the way. There is also rumours of someone had a pair of these at Drone Fest in the UK, yet no one has actually seen them. I am not aware of anything, but we will talk about that a bit more. We're also going to talk a bit about what came in this little box here. It arrived today on a Sunday, nonetheless. And I thought we'll just take a quick look because this is a bit of a controversial subject, and that is the Iflight Defender 16, not 25, 16. And we're going to talk about the China ban and was I lying? Has the world ended? And as always, we'll answer any questions you may have along the way as well. Now, I want to say a big hello to everyone in the chat. I hope you're all safe and well. You're dropping frames all over the place. Interesting. Why am I dropping frames? There is no reason for it. Everything on my side is normal. There should be no reason. I'm just looking on this side. I've not dropped a single frame. 1 second. Okay. Are we back? Okay. I had to do a complete reboot then. So if someone can tell me if we are back. Still laggy? I would... But choppy, wow, what is going on? That was just a quick reboot. Right, I'm just going to check this. It might be that you guys might need to just refresh your browser a second, because some are saying it's fine. It'll take a second to kick in. Now it's better. Good now. Yeah, that's better. Slowly smoothing out. Yeah, YouTube does. Wow. So what I ended up having to do then was a complete reboot. I get this every now and again if I don't reboot before a live stream and I've been editing. And I just don't know why this happens. I just don't. So, okay. What I think I'm going to do is start again. And then I'll cut this off the stream that goes out on the channel. Yes, AMD CPU by actually 5900. So my advice is if you are watching and you haven't rebooted, is just rehash the browser. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. It's because of Windows. Yeah, I am at the stage of actually thinking of building a dedicated streaming PC. But anyway, as we're now working, Let's start again. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Yes, this is the second time I've had to start this live stream, and tonight we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about, is there going to be a set of version 2 Avatar HD goggles? Because whilst I did mention it before, it might be that it's not to do with the Chinese ban and there could be something around the corner. We're going to talk about the Iflight Defender 16 because I have one in hand and it's got quite a controversial quad looking at my Discord. And we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about that Chinese ban and find out if I was lying. Has anything happened? Has the roof fallen in? Has the sky killed us all? And we'll talk about anything else along the way as well. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say a massive thank you for a super chat. One came in the initial part of this, and it is from Mass FPV. It's 100 DKKs, whatever it is. I massively appreciate it, and I just want to say a big thank you from me. And before we get into the other subjects, we're also going to talk about FPV.WTF because there's a bit of a PSA that I want to put out about that too. Now, sorry for the strange start on this one. I hope everyone is safe and well. I'm not going to get through the names of everyone who is watching, but if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Super chats are welcome, but they're not required for me to answer a question, and we'll do a little bit of that towards the end. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is FPV.WTF, and that is the hack for the V1 and V2 goggles that gives you FPV OSD. Now, there has been a bit of an issue on this that people have had reboots in flight with those goggles. Now, Junus and the team have been working hard on this, and they have put out an update. It has now properly been resolved. You can see this post, which you can barely read, so let me make it bigger, on the FPV.WTF Discord. But basically, there is an update out for the goggles only. You don't need to do the air unit. You don't need to do that side of things. You just need to do the goggles side, and that should fix any in-flight reboot issues that people may be having. Now, as always, to do this, you're going to want to go to the FPV.WTF configurator. I'm not going to do it here live on stream, but you can connect to that, and we'll go from there. Right one, an interesting subject that you've just reminded me on. We'll talk about that at the end. The Hewing T2. We will talk about that at the end because I think that's quite interesting. No, you haven't missed the conversation. We had a bit of a slow start on the stream. So, let me just get myself ready. Now, as always, if you've got any questions, please do let me know, and we will answer them. And I am keeping an eye on the chat as well. Just catching up. Type, surprise, your channel has surpassed the Pavel Magic at the FPV University this week. Do you remember when he had discussed which channel to beat? Yes. Have I? I haven't spoke to Pavel. I can never remember his name. For those who don't remember, he's now the FPV University. Have I surpassed him? Have I? I didn't see. Yes, I know the channel grew a bit this week. I did get a thing from YouTube this week to say it's grown a bit more. But I didn't know I'd passed him, which is interesting. Pavel Spakowski. He's a good guy. I've spoke to him a couple of times. He's a nice guy. We don't talk a lot, but I do get a message every now and again. But he's a good guy. He did change the name of the channel to FPV University. So, yeah, very cool. Okay, let's get on with the subjects as we are late starting. So, the first thing I want to talk about is this. Cadex FPV. Now, for a while, supply of the goggles, which is the Avatar HD goggles, has been a bit hit and miss. And whilst you've been able to get the Fat Shark variant, because remember, the Dominator HD is the Fat Shark version of the Avatar goggle, the Avatar ones have actually been unavailable. Now, for a little while, you could actually only get the Fat Shark variant at dealers, but also it was only the Fat Shark variant available on the Caddx website. Now, what's interesting is, when you go on here, it actually says only one left. The Walksnail goggle branded isn't showing, but the Fat Shark one is saying only one left. Now, that's been like that for a day or so. Now, I don't know, is that genuinely only one left? But what is clear is supply of the Avatar goggle is not good at the moment, and you can only get the Fat Shark version. Now, the interesting thing about this is it is the same goggle. I'm just going to move my drink to the side. It is the same goggle, but the difference is the shells. Now, when this all released, if you were here at the time where you don't get to know, things were all a bit confusing because we saw the Fat Shark goggle release, and then we had the Avatar goggle appear out of nowhere. Are we dropping frames again? And 4 FPS again. Wow, it looks fine my side. Audio is fine. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's even whinging now. I think I'm beginning to have a router issue, you know. It's fine. If it's fine, it's fine. Cleared up. Wow. Really strange. Okay. I'll push on through. It could even be YouTube. And we understood that Fat Shark were actually making the goggles on behalf of Avatar. So Avatar, Walksnail Caddx, were supplying the boards, and Fat Shark, whoever their manufacturing partner is, because remember, Fat Shark don't make these things themselves, were assembling the goggles on both their behalf. Now, we don't know for sure what the situation is because they don't publish that info. But what has been clear is the Avatar goggle, from what I've seen, definitely appears to have been the more popular goggle, and the Fat Shark one has really been quite limited, and in fact it's now been on sale for some time. If we go back to the Caddx website, and if we go to Rotor Riot, for instance, I think it's actually been on sale here as well. So Dominator, here we go. You can see on Rotor Riot it's down to $480. Now, it is absolutely clear that something is going on. What that is, though, we don't fully understand. Now, there is rumours that there was a guy at Drone Fest in the UK who had a set of V2s, but no one had seen them, and I've seen no evidence myself of that existing. Now, what I can say is this. If I knew about something, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. So, I genuinely don't know anything at all. If I did, I wouldn't actually be having this conversation. And I've not even heard of anything around this on the grapevine. That doesn't mean, though, it isn't going to happen. And actually, it does make a lot of sense that a version 2 could be around the corner, considering how fast Caddx now have been developing the VTXs. You know, we've had a V1 standard VTX, a V2 standard VTX, a V1, 2, and 3 version of the Whoop VTX. We've got the Race VTX, which is the Whoop VTX. We've got 3 or 4, 5 cameras now. So they're definitely a company that is willing to push things forward. And I wouldn't be shocked if there was a version 2 coming. Now, as for what a version 2 would be, I don't know. Could we see analog built in? Potentially, yes. Could we see HDMI input? Potentially, yes. What is clear is Cadex are very interested in becoming the #1 digital FPV provider, and they want to do everything they can do to provide the community with the products they will buy from them. If we look at, they released the VRX module, they've got a new VTX coming with HDMI input, they've announced that, we just haven't seen it. And there's lots of other little things that they've been working on, and a V2 goggle does absolutely make sense. What's actually going to be interesting is, will it be Fat Shark or Fat Shark's manufacturing partner? And someone asked earlier, they believe it's in China, and I believe it is in China, yes. Will it still be through them, or could this be Cadex even bringing it in-house? And could we even see the end of that Fat Shark relationship? I don't know. From the outside, to me, it looks like a dead marriage. I frankly do not see the point of the Fat Shark goggle, and I don't recommend anyone buys it unless you have no choice. There is no downside to buying the Fat Shark goggle from a performance point of view. What the downside is supporting them and having the potential of the crap support that they've been giving users. Now, I have openly gone on record of saying I am not a fan of Fat Shark. In fact, I think it's a dead company unless someone wants to prove to me otherwise. And after all of the nonsense and behavior when they stepped away from the HDZero system, they proved they are not a company that you can trust with your money, because we had users who had just bought things like the Scout HDs and they had damage, and they told them they can't get parts, and Carl had to get involved himself. Now, it's all very well Fat Shark saying, oh yeah, but we don't make that part of the board. When they put their name on the front of the products, I don't care who their supplier is. It is their responsibility to look after the product. It is their name on the door. It is their name on the front, and it is their problem. So as far as I'm concerned, no one should give that company a penny until they prove otherwise. Now, let's not pretend that Cadex is perfect. And there is a lot I could say and have said about Cadex, but what I will say is they have sorted people out when they've had problems, they have listened to the community, and they've developed the product. And frankly, I don't know what more than that we can ask. What they haven't do is left people high and dry and gone, oh, sorry, we don't make that bit, we can't get the parts. That behavior that Fat Shark showed is complete and utter nonsense. There are people with HDO2s with failing HDMI boards all over the place. It is it's a fault, and they are not supporting users. And frankly, the company is a corpse. There is no press, there's no media. They don't even list the firmware updates for the goggles on their own website. They have the goggles with their brand on them, and they don't even list the current firmware. They are literally skimming money and providing nothing. And you shouldn't support that, in my opinion, and I won't be supporting that either. So that's my stance on Fat Shark. And frankly, I think they should walk away. Cadex should just walk away from Fat Shark and do what they want. And look, unless Fat Shark want to prove different, dead, don't give them your money. And just to prove that side of it, if we go to Fat Shark, they've got this lovely page with Dominator on the front. You're like, oh, this is nice. Oh, find a retailer. And then you got the new Recons. Ooh, very nice. All looks tidy. Okay, where's the support button? Right, wait a minute. Manuals and updates. Oh, here we go. Oh, manuals and firmware. Dominator. Oh, they've updated to May. So they've come a little bit more recent. A little bit more recent. They didn't even have that the last time I looked. So at least they're not as far as behind as they were. What have they got on the Recons? Yeah, the same firmware version. So they have actually updated their website. Wow. Perhaps the corpse has just been hit with a defib. Regardless, I stand by the fact of people still struggling to get support and what happens if it goes wrong. Good luck getting an answer from them, though, Joseph has said. Yeah, I've seen the posts. So, there could be a set of V2 goggles around the corner. Stock back next week. It could just be a manufacturing issue, because remember, Cadex will also be buying in a lot of the parts. So, for instance, the chipsets, you got to take into account, Cadex are a manufacturer as such, but they do buy in a lot of their components. So the IC, they've got to buy in. Obviously the OLEDs and everything they've got to buy in. So it could just be a supply issue on that. So that's the situation. Could be a set of V2s. There may not. I don't know anything about it. It's hearsay rumors with zero evidence right now. And that's where you should take it. Simmerfly, could it be a new version 2 goggle to get past the Chinese export? I did think that did they remove their ones and only sell the Fat Shark ones themselves for that reason? I did have that thought initially, but the fact the Fat Shark ones are also out of stock makes me think something else is going on. There is some logic, though, in it if it was a Fat Shark branded goggle and it's like, oh, it's their product, we're selling it for them. Seems to me that Fat Shark got screwed by RC, who made the deal with Walksnail. RC? Who's RC? Cadex moved to a new factory recently. Interesting. I thought Fat Shark had their own manufacturing. I think they have a manufacturing partner. Is Red Cat? Yes. Sorry, I wasn't thinking then. I thought they'd had... I don't think Fat Shark own the factory. I think they've just got a partner over there. No one... You wouldn't own a factory in China. It makes no sense. You would just find a manufacturing partner to assemble the product for you. Fat Shark are not selling enough goggles to warrant having permanent people on payroll. So... that's the situation with avatars. We're just going to have to wait and see. I hope the stream is now working properly, everyone. I do apologise tonight. I'm wondering if I'm having internet issues as well. We're just going to have to wait and see, unfortunately. Bo. Stream is fine. Cool. Okay. Me just moving along. The DOMs are a good goggle. There's nothing wrong with them, but I would personally just go for the Dominator. Sorry, not the Dominator. The Avatar goggles, because they come with a set of antennas. And whilst people say they're crap antennas, I've done RF testing on them and they're okay. They're fine. There's nothing particularly bad about them. They're just not the highest gain in the world. What they are is good enough for most people to get up and running. It's what they are. Even the Fat Shark ones. Oh, sorry, the Walksnail ones. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the Chinese ban before we move on to Iflight. Now, on the channel a few weeks ago, I mentioned that I had heard that one manufacturer was having trouble or said they were going to stop providing products as a result of the new Chinese ban. Now, at the time, I was aware of an email that someone else had confirmed that came from T-Motor saying that they would no longer be supplying flight controllers and ESCs as a result of the new Chinese ban, and that was before the first where everything had kicked in. Since then, I believe someone else has said this, but there was a message that went out from one vendor. JB has said, I believe JB said SpeedyB. I'm not going to confirm or deny. However, a product has been delayed as a result of the new Chinese ban. And I have heard on the grapevine, some companies having issues, some companies not. What isn't clear is it is affecting everyone or it isn't going to affect everyone. Today, it more seems like a paperwork issue more than an out-and-out ban. And for instance, today I've received some products from China that was sent literally 4 days ago without a problem at all. So it isn't black and white, but I do believe there are some restrictions kicking in, and we're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. What there hasn't been is a complete stop or blockade on all drone-related products. Some stuff is getting out, some stuff isn't. I do have a product that's been sent to me that's held up in customs. I'm just waiting to find out what's happened. Customs in China, I will say, not the UK. I genuinely don't know what's happening with that. I don't know if I'm going to get it at all. We're just going to have to wait and see. But some products definitely are making it out. And in fact, I had a delivery today from Iflight. So it is clear that they are able to ship. And interestingly, they shipped from Hong Kong. And I suspect that's how many are getting round it. With regards to the result of the China ban, I think there will be an effect. But I don't think it's going to be massive. I think it will have an effect here and there. Something is itching me on my ear. It normally feels like a spider. And I think overall, it shouldn't be too bad. But we've just got to wait and see. But it definitely has had an effect on some companies. Some companies have stopped sending products out as a result. But what isn't clear is if that's permanent or not, basically. We just don't know. Omar just says, I reckon by October it's settled. Yeah, I think it may have. I think what's going to be interesting is how retailers get on. Because that's the real thing, is because bulk orders is very different from... Look, them sending you one flight controller is fairly straightforward. Is Hewing in China? Yes. How it's going to get on with, you know, we want to send them 50 flight controllers, I don't know. But here and now, it's not end of the world. Pretty much all of FPV is in China. Pretty much all of FPV is in China. No. Terminal insanity, I would not stock up. I don't think there is any reason to stock up at this moment in time. I don't see any concerns today. Yeah, potentially, Rodney. So Rodney's asked, you know, would a ban on retailers mean lower prices? What I think you'll see is maybe a rush to supply stuff individually. Like AliExpress is interesting, how that's going to work. And maybe people supplying direct. We're going to have to wait and see. It could be, if they stocked up enough, retailers, that is, and there is a dry period for a month or two, then I think it'll all sort itself out. Simmerfly says, with all of the video leaks of Iflight builds in the... I'm not saying the name, but yeah, if they can ship, any other brand can. It's a very fair point. And that isn't to say for 1 minute Iflight are doing anything intentionally. They've categorically stated they're not, but that doesn't mean their products haven't been shown. But lots of products have been shown. Someone just mentioned on the Cadex factory thing. I can totally confirm that during July, Cadex Walksnail moved a lot of their production to another site, and this brought some delays on shipping a few products. Very interesting. Thank you, Stefano. That's a very interesting comment. And I do wonder if they've moved production now in-house of the goggles, if Fat Shark were doing it before, and that could explain it. That really could explain it. Okay, now, if you guys have got any questions, I am open to taking them now if you want to have anything before we move on to the next subject. There is something I want to mention a little bit, and I've seen this popping up. And it's around the DJI O3, and I'm going to go to clear on this one. I have started to see a bit of a pattern of an issue with the O3 air unit. Now, the good or bad thing about this is it only actually happens with a new one, and it either works or it doesn't. And the issue is people are having trouble getting their new O3 air unit to bind to either the Goggles 2 or the Goggles V2 or the Goggles Integra. Now, people will turn it on, they will connect it to Assistant 2, it will update the firmware absolutely fine. However, it just will not bind. Now, there are a couple of things that can cause this. The O3 air unit will bind even if it's not activated. However, it can be problematic if it's got low power input. So if you're having this, the first thing you should do is check your power and probably power it directly from the battery. The second thing to try is if you're having this, plug it into the USB unpowered, and does the drive show up? I've seen a mix of reports of some people who can't bind does show up and some people who can't bind doesn't show up. A very simple thing to say is if the O3 air unit does not show up on your PC at all, unpowered, and you've checked the USB-C cable, you've checked everything, and just to confirm, you're not using USB-C to USB-C, you need to use USB-A to C, and it doesn't show a drive, the chances are the air unit has a fault. There has been a few people who they're pressing the bind button, and the LED just doesn't flash red or green. It just sits there on stuck green, and they just cannot get it to bind, and in that case, you should send it back. Now, I haven't seen a huge number of these. I think it's about 5 or 6 now, but I have seen enough that it is becoming a newer issue, and it's one we didn't have at the beginning of the release of O3, or at least maybe not enough people got their hands on them for us to be able to see it. I haven't had one myself do this, and I have always been able to bind. And again, if you're having this, just make sure you are following the binding process properly. But there has been people who have huge amounts of experience with this, having problems binding. And in the end, they've ended up having to send that O3 air unit back. A real simple thing on an O3, as I've already said, is if it doesn't show up in USB and you are using a USB-A to C cable and it doesn't show, get rid of it, send it back. It isn't a massive issue, but it certainly is raising its head. There's been some people on my Discord. There's been some people elsewhere with it as well. So I just wanted to mention that because it is an issue that has started to raise its head. Now, just catching up on the chat. Someone did ask me a question. Oh, Mike Bundy, thank you for the $10, $9.99 super chat. I appreciate that. OX Dead Beef. Did I find out a better way of achieving more stable 3D fix with Walksnail video system? The issue remains the same, that the version 1 VTX puts out a lot of noise, as does the HDZero 1 watt VTX. The only real solution is separation. Genuinely, it is just distance or trying a GPS with more shielding. Nothing out and out stops this. No amount of shielding the cables, shielding the VTX in foil or anything stops it. It really is only a separation issue that tends to fix it. The V2 VTX is dramatically better in this regard from Avatar, and really upgrading to the V2 is about the only option I can suggest. Hangman FPV, would you agree that the 5.8 True RC patch antennas are significantly better than the stock ones from Walksnail? Significant is a complicated word to use. Okay, so the True RC X's are somewhere between 10 and 12 dB gain. Let's just check to make sure it's right. Okay. If we go to True RC's website and we look at an XA2, so 2.4 gig, receiver ultra range. Actually, no, sorry, receiver long range. We don't want that one. Here we go. So if we go XA2 singles, okay, like on the DJI ones, it's the same antenna. Hugo uses the same antenna on all of them. It's just a different fitment. So we've got a gain of 9.5 to 10.5 dBi. Okay. Hugo's antennas are all individually tested. Okay. So Hugo's antennas, before they leave the factory, whether it be the XA2s. Now the XA2s, what's the gain on the XA2 combo? I actually use the XA2s, 13 dB on the XA2. So you're getting an extra 3 dB roughly. So Hugo's antennas are what I would say is precisely manufactured and tested before leaving the door. Now, that should mean the run-to-run variance, product-to-product variance is absolutely minimal. Okay? I would expect to pick up 10 sets of Hugo's antennas and they would all work pretty much exactly the same. Now, the Cadex antenna, and I don't know, do they actually publish the specs on Cadex? Let's just have a look. Do they even publish the spec on it? I don't even know if they do. Let's just have a look. Do they sell the antenna on its own? I don't think they do they? No. Do they actually sell that antenna separately? Let's just have a look. Search products. I'm just checking if they sell it, because there's a chance if... No. There's a chance if they sold it separately, it would have proper gain figures. But let's just go down. Do they publish the gain figure of the antennas? Goggles antenna. Right, okay. So 1.9 dBi on the Omni. Do they say... They don't say on the patches that they include. They don't even give the spec, unless I'm being blind. Patch antenna. I'm not seeing a spec for the patch. So, look, we got no gain figure. There's nothing to say The Cadex one isn't capable of the same figures, but as a mass-produced antenna, I would say the run-to-run variants, or at least the product-to-product variants, would potentially be high, and you're not necessarily going to get as good results. The thing to understand about antennas, and I saw something on this today, actually, which made me laugh, and look, antennas are not a magic thing. They don't make RF. So, an antenna's gain is really just telling you how directive it is. The simplest term to use for antenna gain is how directive the antenna is. An isotropic antenna with a 360 degree, 8 dB, someone says they're 8 dB, there we go. An isotropic antenna is 1 dB with a 360 degree all-round reception. A true RC X-ear antenna is simply reducing the gain around the back and the sides and moving it all to the front. So all gain is a measure of how directive the antenna is. So if you take the Walksnail patch at 8 dB and the True RC antenna at 10 dB, it's not that the True RC is better, it's that the True RC is more directive. Now, this isn't to say the True RC antenna isn't better as a result of its antenna efficiency, because that is a very, very different measurement, and that's actually where things like S11 and all of those numbers come in. SWR, efficiency. Because the thing to understand about an antenna is you can have two antennas with 10 dB gain, but if one of them's got a low efficiency, if you put in, say, 1 watt of power, an antenna with poor efficiency may lose, say, 200 milliwatts of that 1 watt through connection losses on the elements themselves. And that losses is a result of heat. Whereas the high quality antenna wouldn't have any connection loss or less connection loss and radiates out more. It is a very complicated subject. What makes an antenna good isn't its gain, isn't its SWR or S11, it's the combination of the three. It's about having an antenna that is able to deliver as much power as you put in or is as sensitive as possible on the tuned band that you are using it on. Gain in itself is a very simple measurement, but it really is more than anything how directive the antenna is. So you need to be careful with gain. Gain isn't, it's just saying it's going to work in that area there better than one that works in that area there. And that's where you have to be careful. On the grand scheme of things, and I'm getting a warning again, wow, this has to be a broadband issue. Wow, this has to be a broadband issue. You probably buffer in a second. Let's see if it pushes through. I wonder if my router's playing up in the heat. Oh, stream is fine. Okay. But it's a complicated subject, but I would suggest that the True RC antennas are better. Overall. At the moment, it's fine. Cool. I've just got the warning on my side. That's all. Right. Before we move on to something else, and whilst we're on antennas, gain equals battery C rating. Yeah. You are right. It is like that. Now, before we move on, and as we're talking about antennas, I do want to talk a little bit about these. These are the Flip G2s from Flyfish RC. Let me go on the overhead. You can see these here. For those who haven't seen, these are the Flip antennas. So these are the dual band, dual polarized antennas for the goggles 2. I do have a video coming on these tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think that one. It'll either be tomorrow or Wednesday where I give you my thoughts. Now, I've been testing these for a few weeks. I've checked them as much as I can. And overall, I think they're a good antenna. Now, what I'm going to say is this. These antennas, I think, are very good. And they are definitely worth a look. However, these are not night and day different to the DJI ones. What is interesting about these antennas, and I explain it in the video, isn't actually the gain improvements. It's the fact that these antennas are dual polarized. Now, just to explain that a bit more, and let's just go back on the overhead. So, the goggles 2, okay? The goggles 2 have 4 antennas. You've got 2 externals, which you can see here, and there's 2 internal antennas in a cross pattern down here. Okay? 2 externals, 2 internals in an X. Like that. So, the top antennas are, they're not vertically polarized, but they're off, but as that direction polarized, whatever we're going to call that. And then the other ones are cross-polarized in the middle, all linear, all omnidirectional. Now, the thing to understand, though, about this is the top 2 antennas on the goggles 2 both transmit and receive, whereas the internal antennas only receive. Now, what that means is when you're flying, no matter what direction your quad is in, the antennas on the goggles will pretty much be able to pick up the signal because these are on that angle there. I don't know what degrees it is. I haven't measured it, but it's a few off, 10 degrees off, whatever it is. And then these ones in the front are crossed. So if you rotate your aircraft, you've got multiple polarizations from a receiving point of view. Generally, you should be fine. However, where the crux of the issue is the transmission from these goggles back to your aircraft is only from the top 2 antennas, and that is always going to be vertically or so polarized. And that is where the benefit of these antennas should be, because they are dual polarized, they're polarized vertically and they're polarized horizontally. And what that now means is the transmit from this will have both polarizations as well, and that should offer some benefit. Now, these antennas do appear to have a slightly higher gain than the original DJI ones. Look, I've done a lot of testing, and I can't say out and out they are dramatically better. They're just not in my tests. Reports from users are they think there's a little bit of a benefit gain. I can't say it's dramatic. But where the theoretical benefit is that the goggles will now transmit on both planes, and that is absolutely a benefit. The real good thing about these antennas is the fact that you can actually get them, because these antennas are a nice replacement for the original DJI ones. They fold down, they take up a little bit more space. If they are linearly dual polarized, doesn't that imply they are circularly polarized? Yeah, that's a complicated... We're heading into weird periods of RF for sure. But yeah, I think if you did lose one, they're definitely a good replacement as well. So I do have the review coming on them. I do some testing in it, which I show you. But yeah. Flush FPV, big fan of Gas Monkey. I have watched Richard Rawlings before. I'm not a dramatic fan of him, but I used to watch Gas Monkey Garage when is it Aaron? Aaron was in it in the early days. Was it Aaron or something like that? I am aware of Richard Rawlings and Gas Monkey. But I did see the t-shirt. A Yagi will absolutely be better. A Yagi is a directional... That's when it was watchable, yeah. And a Yagi was It's a directional antenna. Yagi is always going to be better. You've got to take into account they're still Omni antennas. I used to like it in the early days. It's a bit like OCC. Oh, I used to love OCC in the early days, but it went to pot. Isn't it amazing how that world has fallen apart? Before we move on to the Defender 16, for those who used to watch OCC, you know, they were like the biggest thing on TV for a very long time. And just look how that all fell apart, innit? Now you want orange squash. Yeah, I've had to... Right, any update on the new item from Bamboo that will be released soon? Next question. Remember my rule? I talk about things I don't know about. Moving on. Those bikes were trash. OCC Orange Catty Choppers. Yeah. No, there's nothing under my desk. Well, there's something under my desk. What is under my desk? It's not under my desk. Ignore your super chat. Error. Right. Oh, sorry. I've got the bloody stream health up. I'm not seeing a super chat a minute. If you sent one and I haven't seen it, I apologize. My YouTube is owned all over the place. If you post it back in, I will answer. Or I say thank you for the super chat. I am having a nightmare today. Haha, the two pulls. True RC antenna better. True RC is a high quality antenna. You know, you can't so something just to say. So you can't compare this to an XA. An XA is a highly directional antenna, and this is an Omni. They're just not the same. What keyboard is this? This is... It's one of the Corsairs. K68 RGB with red switches. I wish I wanted yeah, I got reds, but they're not true reds. But I wouldn't recommend it. The keycaps come off way too easily. I want a really clicky one. But K68, the keycaps are quite frustrating. Oh, it's been screenshotted in Discord. Cool. Let me just check. I am having a nightmare today with YouTube, so let's just get on Discord. For those who don't know, I do actually have a Discord. Let me get this open in the browser so I can see it full screen. As a man of balding stature, I'm here for the hairdo and the biscuits. Thank you, Cliff. I appreciate that. Ligma FPV. Why do I crap on DJI so hard when they have consistently put out the best products for years? Because when they do their best, they do fantastic. But they also crap on customers left, right, and center. They push out half-baked firmware where the products are not fully working, and they don't deliver on all of the promises they make. I hold DJI to the same standard I hold everyone else. I make more content on DJI products and promote DJI in a positive way more than anyone else in FPV, probably. I'll openly, if you look, the amount of how-to videos, how it works, teardowns, overviews, technical deep dives I do on the DJI FPV products, I make more content on DJI than anyone. End of. There's no one covers that as much as I do. That's a fact. And I promote it whilst doing that. But that isn't an excuse for DJI's shitty behavior at times with regards to how they treat their customers, how they don't take feedback from the community, and how they have a constant habit of delivering just enough but making you buy something else to allow it to work properly. Here is a classic example of one of DJI's pretty crappy behavior. DJI could very easily make the V1 goggles work with O3. Now, just before you say, oh, hold on, the V1 goggles don't have dual band. They're not dual band. However, the O3 system is only dual band when using it with their own remote controller. When you're using O3 with just the O3 air unit, it is always in 5 gigs mode. It is always in 5 gigs mode when you're in manual channels. The original FPV system only had manual channels. DJI could very easily open it up to allow V1 users to use O3 as well if they wanted to. They also could have fixed the problems they've left us with on the air unit and the Vista on the O3 firmware as well. There's still loads of issues there. There are bucket loads of issues that I could reel off of why DJI is not the best company in the world. They never delivered ProRes for RAW on the Inspire 2 on the X5 like they promised. They never delivered the handheld camera option, Osmo, for the Inspire 2, even though it's in the marketing material for the Inspire 2. The Z1, not the X1 for the Inspire 1, was a product that never actually worked. They cancelled track antenna before it was even released. They have a habit of balking the products in firmware as they come towards the end of their life. And the reality is, DJI do what is best for DJI. Now, do they make some of the best, most published products out there? Yes. And I've said it multiple times. And I'm the first person to recommend DJI. However, that doesn't mean they are perfect. They are a business, but we are consumers. And my point is this: someone needs to hold them to account. If no one says anything, nothing changes. I have been fortunate to have been on the right side of a few sticking it to DJI to get things fixed. We would not have a number of fixes in these systems if they had not been highlighted by myself and the community. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's me, I'm amazing. And what I'm saying is there are a number of things that I have specifically highlighted that got picked up by the community and pushed forward that resulted in direct fixes. I know DJI watch this channel, okay? I know they watch this channel because when I said the words, do not buy DJI and go and buy HDZero instead, a person from DJI reached out to me and sent me a screenshot of my words from YouTube in China asking how they can solve the problem. I know they watch and I know they listen. And sometimes the only way to get things fixed is by shouting and screaming. Sometimes sitting here and waiting for them to do it if you just wait and say nothing, it'll never happen. So that's why there are times where I stick it to DJI. Now, if people think I hate DJI, you must be mad. I use more of their products. I've promoted DJI more than anyone. I think I've made more content on the I'm going to try not... I don't need the sound, but I've made more content on the Inspire 2 than anyone else. I've made more content on the Ronins than most people, and I've made more content on DJI FPV than mostly anyone else. It's... You can't have it all positive and all negative. It has to be about balance. That's the reality. So that's why I stick it to them, because at times they bloody deserve it. And I do stick it, you know, I stick it to Cadex. I told everyone, don't buy the Cadex system. I called it an alpha system because it was. And it's just reality is sometimes you got to say how it is. And no, DJI, don't talk to me anymore for that reason. I think they watch from behind the sofa and see what I've said next and then go and sort it. What I can tell you is the last time I upset DJI was when I released the video showing... No, sorry. Just before the O3 air unit had released... For those who remember, I released the overheating video because I'd heard on the grapevine that the O3 was running very, very hot and overheating. And I released the video with the AMD heatsink. I don't know how many guys remember that. If you haven't seen, it's a short. I gotta find it. For you guys who haven't seen it, it is fantastic. And the irony was, I had then been sent a product by a manufacturer with an O3 air unit in, and DJI threatened to withdraw it. And I said, go on then, because I refused to take the video down. So here's the story I don't know if I've shared. So I made that video before having an O3 air unit in hand, as I was told it was running very hot. Made the video and published it. 2 days later, I received a product with an O3 air unit in for release. And I'm very, very grateful for that company for supporting me. But DJI reached out to them and basically said, withdraw it. And they basically said, if I don't take the video down, could I take the video down? Otherwise, they might have to withdraw the product. And I went, no, okay, take it back. But for those who haven't seen the video, I'm going to smoke some. I need to find it. It's worth a look. When did O3 launch? I'm trying to remember. It was last year. I want to find this, but we're going to move on to the Defender in a minute. And I just said, take it back. I couldn't have used... What they were upset about was I had a 3D printed version of the air unit, and they were very upset about that. Very upset. I'm trying to find it. It was a great video. I'll get it now. I've made too much content. We're getting there. We're getting there. This video is phenomenal. November last year. Whew. Where is it? It's before November. I think I remember it. It's worth a look because it's funny. Where is it? O3 is coming. Oh, I found O3 is coming. It's got to be here. That's September. Why is the video hiding? It's interesting. Oh, man, I can't find it. That's a shame. Anyone remember when O3 released? Goggles to why I hate DJI. Might be forward one more. I might have skipped past it. Let's just have a look. Yes, I did get into trouble with DJI on it. But they didn't tell me direct. They wouldn't tell me direct. I think I've gone a bit far back, actually. DJI O3 FPV, what you need to know. O3 teardown. It's got to be about here, but it's disappeared. Ah, I found it. Found it. Right there. Right. Found it.
You love the sound of this. This wireless S6.
Right. Now I've got to reduce that and get it off. I'm going to turn on. You're going to hear desktop audio then. So I've got to get past the ad. You'll love this. This is brilliant.
65Q soundbar, usually $399, comes free with the stunning LG OLED Evo C3 TV with self-lit pixels for incredible contrast and 100% color accuracy.
Okay, just finishing our OcuSync 3 first build. We've got our thermal paste on the ear unit. We're going to place that onto the frame. And then we're going to mount the heatsink. That's going to make sure that the ear unit works properly and we're not going to have any problems in flight. Okay, so as you can see, the build is now finished. Now, obviously, the big difference on this compared to quads before O3 is the new heatsink. I chose to go with the AMD Wraith cooler because it has that cool RGB functionality as well. Now, the idea of this is to remove the excess heat away from that ear unit. Obviously, whilst it's smaller than we've had before, it does use 40% additional power, and as a result of that, it's going to create more heat, and we need to move that heat away from the aircraft. Not only do we need that thermal paste on the bottom, but you need the heatsink as well to help keep it chilled in flight. Now, obviously, having this large cooler on the top is going to have a potential effect on the aircraft, but don't worry, the cooler itself is made from copper and aluminium, so it won't affect your compass, and the additional weight is coming in at only about 1.2 kilos, and whilst that may have an effect on the flight characteristics, it's the reality of having high-end digital FPV with built-in image stabilization. This is how quads are going to be as we move forward into 2023. I wonder how I got into trouble with that one. I can't imagine for 1 minute why they were upset when I was talking about their brand new product using 40% more power, which it was, by the way. That's a factual number. Because I was shared the specs before I received something from someone else. And me showing it overheating. I can't imagine why they were upset. It's like the week before it released. Oh well. And I wonder why they don't talk to me anymore. But yes, I did get into trouble. And I was basically told, unless I took the video down, I think what they were going to do is either ask for the quad back or they were going to refuse to activate it, because for O3 to work, it had to be activated. Because all of the release ones, you guys might not know this, whilst your ones you buy today will work if it's not activated, those ones wouldn't. So I had nothing. But I'd have been in a no-lose situation, because what I'd have done is I'd have torn it down. I'd have still torn it down. I'd have put out a review video saying, I'm not allowed to show you this and use this because DJI refused to activate it because I made a video about a cooler. I was in a no-lose situation at that point. I just couldn't lose. Can you imagine the video of here's O3, but they won't let me use it because I made a video about a heatsink? That would have been epic. I was actually hoping they might not. But anyway, right. Before we wrap this stream up, it's now time to talk about Iflight, and then we'll move on to the Q&A. Now, this isn't a review because this only arrived today. This, and it's not under embargo, I believe. If this is under embargo, I'm in trouble. But I believe someone has posted a review of this already. Let me just check before I get myself in trouble. I just need to make sure there is a public review of this drone, isn't there? Please tell me there's a public review of this drone before I get into it. Because I don't want to break an embargo. Just to make sure I haven't missed something. Then we'll go on to the T2 cruise. Yes, there's a video. Crema FPV has one. Yes, that's fine. No, that's good. There we go. So, sorry, Iflight, if I get into trouble. So, here is the new Defender 16. Now, this is going to be a controversial product. And I'm going to warn you up front. This is not going to be a drone for everyone. Because this is a very proprietary product. And probably the most proprietary drone that I have seen from Iflight to date. And whilst they did start on that road with the Defender 25, the Defender 16 is pushing that further forward again. Now, if we go to the overhead, and I'm going to have to zoom out a minute for this, and let me just grab my Defender 25. Okay, so here's the Defender 25. Now, I'm going to start with this. Now, I have seen comments of people saying it's like, and I just saw one in the chat, actually, it's an Avata, but worse. Right. The Defender 16 is not an Avata-style quad. This is an Avata quad. This is the Avata competitor, the Defender 25. This has a proprietary battery, but it will take a normal battery. It has an XT30 down here. It is absolutely... Oh, Crema, how are you? I hope you're well, my friend. Now, this isn't a review. I was just talking about your video. Funny enough. Look, it's on the desktop. It's there right now. Yeah, this is the Iflight Avata competitor. This isn't. This is a Cinewhoop for new people or people who don't want to ever sort of get involved in rebuilding a quad yourself and all of that stuff. Now, when you get it, it comes in this case, which is very nice. You open the lid, the quad is inside. We have a battery charging connection over here, a board like on the original Defender. You'll notice USB-C only on this. And then we have our connection down there for the battery. And that should be the first hint of something interesting because you'll see there is no XT30 here. It is a fully proprietary connector. Now, the quad itself, let me just get it out, is obviously a lot smaller than the Defender 25. If I just put it on top a second, just to give you an idea, it is there. It is a very similar quad to the Defender 25 in the sense of it is that same design overall with the frame. If we come in closer, let me just focus. Wait for the camera to wake itself up. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So, it is a smaller version of the Defender 16. It does have this proprietary battery. You can see here what we've most likely got, and I haven't checked this, and I'm going to pin all of this out when I get a chance, is what the setup is on the connection here. But it is not an XT30. It's 900 milliamp hour, and that is obviously going to be very different to what we had on the Defender 25. This is as close to what I've seen as a proper bind and fly O3 whoop from anyone. This is as far as it goes. Now, it comes with the O3 Lite air unit in as standard. It is not the same setup as you get from the likes of Flywoo. I have had a look, and it does appear to be the case that the O3 air unit comes from DJI this way. It's basically the same one as the DJI one, just without the outside casing. I can't see any hints of thermal compound being removed. I think it's being shipped to DJI that way. And then you've got the O3 camera there, which is in a little plastic housing. And it is very much an out-the-box bind and fly quad. And it is fairly proprietary. Now, it does, like most DJI quads, have a power button here to turn it on. You've got to press and hold to power it up. Like a typical DJI quad. You've got LEDs on the battery on the top, and then you've got the LEDs on the arm, and then the LEDs on the back. Do not update the ElRS RX. I forgot about that. And then you've got the LEDs on the arms underneath down there. Then you've got the status one on the back. I haven't bound this to anything yet. I literally haven't done anything other than open the box. Now, to shut it down, it is the same as before. Press and hold to turn off, and then the battery LED will go off in a second. Now, there is something that happens when you press that button, or press and hold, and it flashes. I just don't know what that means. I haven't actually read the manual yet. It flashes and then it stops. I don't know what that means. I haven't looked at that yet. Now, this is a very tightly integrated quad, and I'll be honest, I have had a peep under the hood. It is not going to be an easy quad to work on. That I can tell you as well. Everything is very much crammed inside. What we've got is, like on the Avata, an area here. I thought it'd be blinking the battery level, but it didn't seem to make any sense. When you unflick this out here, there's a little piece on the side you can flick out, and then you can see in there, if we come in, you've got the O3 USB port and the SD card slot down there under that little rubber cover. What's nice about it, though, is that it's not in the prop area, which means it shouldn't get caught. Now, it is an interesting quad, and I do think... you need to long press it again until it's turned white to change the LED colour on the battery. So wait there. Oh, then let me turn it off. Right, so you can change the colour of the LEDs on the battery as well. The props are press-on fit. Just going to try and turn it off. So it's changing colours. I can't figure out now how to stop it changing colours. I'm going to cheat. Lift the battery off. So to turn it off. It is push-on props. Now, size-wise, I haven't delved into anything on this yet. Genuinely, this came in today. Let me just go into the top of the case. In here, we find a little toolkit. We got some more props. They are HQ props, and they are Defender 16, 1809 times 3. Obviously, 3 blades, so they're 1809. Which is an interesting size. Is this a custom prop for this quad? That doesn't ring a bell. In the box, you also get some stickers. A leaflet. A nice little card. A leaflet about binding. and another leaflet about binding if using the Crossfire one. Now, quality-wise, the build does feel very, very good. I'll be honest with you. The fit and finish is very nice. It does feel like a quad that is being aimed at new users. I'm not convinced it's quite being aimed at everyone. And I'm going to say now, having had a quick peep under the hood, this is not going to be an easy quad to work on by any means. But it is very, very interesting. Now, I haven't flown it yet. It came in today. You're seeing it here as it comes. It has optical float. No. So it's beta flight, no GPS, no special source other than the iFlight build. It's got a custom flight controller from iFlight, which is designed for this quad. And it's pretty custom in every way. It definitely looks interesting. Now, where are my scales? How heavy is this thing? My scales have vanished. I can't weigh it. Too heavy, someone has said. That button changes the LED color. Yeah, I've literally not looked at anything on it, first of all. I'm guessing 249 with the prop. Let's just have a look on iFlight. As I said, this isn't a review. This is just me talking about it as it's just come in. So Defender 16. And they're saying specifications. Where's the weight? Takeoff weight, including battery, 128 grams. That can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be right. Can't be 128 grams. There is no way it weighs less. That can't be right. Is it? I need to go and get a set of scales if that's the case. 128. Could that be right? Could be right. 127 with the battery. Oh, it's 78 grams without. What am I thinking of? 128. Okay, wow. That's less than I thought. I was expecting it to be more than that. It feels more than that. Definitely feels more than that. It is a very interesting quad. And I'm looking forward to trying it. Haven't tested it yet. It's definitely, I think, a whoop for people who want like an out-the-box, ready-to-go quad. It comes in this nice box, all the nice instructions. Its prop size is 1809s. I don't think it's going to be for everyone. Yeah, 1.8 inch or 1.9. I don't think it's going to be for everyone. And it's going to be a bit of a challenge to repair if you crash it as well. But it is interesting. Now, we don't know, and I haven't looked yet at the way the power input is set up. I don't know if it would be possible to run a standard battery on this or not. I haven't tested. I'm going to have a look into that. It's going to be interesting to see if it's possible. What I do think is I think the build quality is really nice. Looking over it. It is beta flight, yeah. The build quality is very nice. I think it's probably the most off-the-shelf quad of this style I've seen. I've just found the battery is possible. It requires some tweaking. Yeah, I have had a quick look inside, but not too deep. I just popped the lids, and you'll know what I mean about there's like wires everywhere. It is not easy to get apart in the sense of when you take it apart, there's stuff on the high end, stuff on the low end. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. It was a bit of a challenge to get everything poked back in. But yeah, I think it's definitely a nice quad, and I'll be interested to see how it flies. It's certainly one that's not designed for crashing. You know, these ducks do have a bit of movement in them. They're not the most solid. I did break my duct on the Defender. I ended up having to actually rebuild this one. I ended up having to heat it. But yeah, very interesting. I will be reviewing it on the channel now in the next week or so. I've got to fly it. There is also a Defender 20 as well, and I assume that this extra piece is for that. They put this like piece in that makes the box a bit smaller. But it does come in this nice case, which is, you know, it's quite nice. They're definitely aiming it at people who... There we go. Just popping it in. Looking for something like out the box. Iflight are making some really good stuff right now. I'll be honest. Look, this isn't going to be for everyone. It is proprietary. It is aimed at a newer audience. But they are making some really nice quads. I do like the case as well. I think that's nice. It's just like one of the RC cases. Very DJI-like. I agree. Very DJI-like. And they also make some new chargers. They have a USB-C charger. They have USB-C cable. They've got their own USB-C charger for this now. Now, obviously, they suspect they buy this in, to be honest. But they've got their own Iflight branded USB-C charger as well. Which is interesting, which has a US plug on it. Half the weight of the Defender 25. They have a new radio coming out. Interesting. Didn't know about that. But yeah, we've got a USB charger as well. Not ideal for the UK market because of that. But I can always put it on an adapter. How is that not the best anti-Karen drone ever? USB-C. What's the ratings on this? This is the USB-A. What's the wattage? Come on. 65 watt. 80 watt max. Total of 80. Very nice. Just reading down. Interesting. I didn't know about the radio. I've not been told. So there we go. Just looked it up. Cool. Right. That was a bit of a sneak peek for it. Only 165. Interesting. The Cine P25 would be something I would be more interested in. Only 165. The 16 is a beast. It looks a nice quad. Genuinely does look a nice quad. Genuinely does look a nice quad. Okay, so before we move on to the final questions, as people have been harassing me, and actually, no, there is something to talk about, and there is a new wing coming. Now, I know there's not a lot of wing users here. I'm going to keep this pretty short. But there is a new T2 cruise. There is a pre-order for it from Hewing. Hewing makes some really nice wings. I've got mine over there, the T1, and I think the T2 is looking interesting. You've got the Ranger kit, but they've got a T2 Cruise coming, which definitely looks interesting. It is on pre-order for 231 quid. I'm going to order one of them in. I haven't looked if there's any reviews. I actually only saw this on my Discord earlier. We'll have a look at Vani Style Pro frame in a minute as well. But this definitely looks interesting. I might order one in and make a video about me crashing it. It's a big wing, mind. Look at the size of it. What's it, 1.2 meter? There's very little spec about it. They're just saying, that's it. Hewing. But yeah, that is available as well. Zero info, only hype. But generally, they have delivered before. So, looks interesting. Now, someone said there is 1.2. I thought I read 1.2 or 1.3 meters. Do I have the Femi Manta? No, I don't. There's basically no specs. Great. That's good. So, there's a new Vani style frame, apparently, is there? A larger T1, yeah. That's what I thought it looked like. Vani Style Pro is way stronger. I spent a week filming an episode with Alex and his team bashing it. The new camera cage is a beast. Where is it listed then? Oh, there is a... there's a video which I've missed about it. Here we are. Get off. So, the Vani Style Pro. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to criticize this as much as I would criticize any other frame. So let's have a look. First of all, thoughts. Looking down. Oh, am I seeing? What am I seeing here? Ooh, is this optimized for O3 by any chance? Ooh. Oh, we have gaps. We have gaps for silicon inserts. This is what happens when you make a frame that is optimized for O3. Not just write it on the website. Get FPV. 128 grams, I'm being told. So, any built-up pics? Any pics with it built up? Those arms look thick. Right, so what's the spec? Let's have a look. Vani Style Pro. So this is obviously part of the big trend of basher frames right now. Because obviously we've got... I'd like to see silicon inserts, not TPU. TPU is not soft enough for O3 unless you print it really thin. Unless you go really soft. I'd like to see silicon. I've not seen any built-up pics. I don't know what's in his video. Squashed X and True X with just an arm swap. Interesting. So, universal compatibility. True squished. Toilet tank battery mount. Very nice. Vertical plates. Very nice. They are going to be solid. Jesus, that's not going to go nowhere. That's a nice looking frame. Wow, when's that out? That's a nice looking flame. Watch him fly, then let us know what you think of the frame. Wow. That is a nice looking frame. Is that vertical pieces down there between the arms? Is that verties? It's unusual. Yeah, it is, look. Yeah, there's vertical pieces there. Okay, he's released a video. Obviously, I'm going to recommend you watch his video.
What's up, everyone? My name's Alex. A year ago, I released the...
And he's just... I'm not going to... I'm gonna just mute it a minute. I'm not gonna say interesting. I didn't see the width of the camera plates. But I'm guessing they'll take anything with the... Ooh, wait a minute. I want to see that quad again. Come on, let me have a proper look at it. So the O3 camera's up front. He's got TPU inserts there because it's the same colour as them. So I'm guessing he's got the O3A unit in the back. That's a nice looking frame. That is a very, very nice looking frame. 6mm arms. Very nice. That, okay, so lift that out. Easy arm replacement. Nice. I'm not seeing any aluminium. Jesus, the kid can fly. It's bloody ridiculous. Wow. I actually want to see the frame. I know the kid can fly. Yeah, probably is laggy. Sorry, guys, but I just want to... Is he going to show any more of the frame? So look at that camera up front. TPU is not great. I'd love to see silicon mounts. I'd love to see silicon mounts. Just TPU is a bit stiff, but you could print it lightly. You could print it lightly. But what's nice is they've got proper mounts there. That is a nice looking frame. I'd like to see the O3A unit in the back just to see how tight it is. Which, just as long as there's no space. I don't particularly like long frames. I like shorter frames, and this does look short. Lighter than the Demibot. See, that's quite a short frame, and I like that. And then squish. So right there, we've got... Let's just look at that again. Or True X. So right there. I just want to watch that again. So, just to confirm, is it the same frame and arms, you just move them? Or is it different arms to have the Squish versus the True X? Just so I understand. Is it placement or is it different arms? You just move them. What? So it's one frame, different alignment. That, I like that. That is nice. You know what? I like that. I really like that. There you go. There's a sight of the O3 in the back. I like the arse end he's got on it. That is nice. That is very, very nice indeed. £82 in the UK. Not that shocking. I'm going to order one of them. I am going to order, not Dead Cat. No, but look, Dead Cat is... Dead Cat is ideal for O3 filming. You know, this isn't for that. That is nice. That is very nice. So you've got the whole space in there for O3 at the back. I like that. I like that a lot. I wonder who designed the frame. Yeah, I tell you what, I think that looks like a basher. I think they've done a nice job on that. He did a great job. He smashes a lot of quads. 5-inch stand. That is very nice. Look, we've seen a few new frames recently, and look, there's nothing I've seen where I've sort of been, oh yeah, I wouldn't. That genuinely looks really nice. It reminds me a lot of the AOS 5, and that's not a bad thing. That really isn't a bad thing. The AOS 5 is a good quad. I got a version 2 and the AOS, no, version 1. That's a real nice. That's the more interesting quad that I've seen for a while. You know, we have seen quads from other manufacturers and people have, like, and I think a new frame is always nice. But that's the first where I've thought, ooh, wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind that. I have, and here's an interesting question. I have been tempted to order in the let me just get it here a second. The QAV2. I have been tempted to order in this to do a review on this. And I'm tempted to order in this to do a review on this. I'm just not sure for me what I'm going to say on this that hasn't already been said and addressed because of the front end. And I do believe there may be some changes coming to JB's. I think JB said they're probably on a version 2 batch going to make some changes for the O3 air unit. And it's hard for me to say in a review, buy this, if I sort of already know there might be a version 2 around the corner. If you get my drift. As it's been said, they may look at it on the version, not the version 2, but the next batch, because these have all been made. Okay, so there's no changing here. And look, it wouldn't be crazy difficult, to turn this into having inserts. Pretty much the aluminium is there already. If you look at it, you'd only actually have to take that area in the middle there out and just put inserts in it. But I think it would be hard for me to do a review when I'm sort of already, I'm not going to say bias, but I've already thought that isn't ideal. I said this, I highlighted it, and I don't know. If they made a version 2 of it, not a V2, but a batch 2 with inserts, I would be really interested in giving it a try and speccing it out and seeing what I think. I think JB's done a full build video on his frame. I don't really know what I can bring to the table. I'll be honest. You know, why make a video on it when JB's got one? I am tempted, but I may just end up upsetting people if I find something I don't like. But I think that is very different. That is very different. Very different indeed. I like that a lot. It really, do you know what I said? It reminds me of the AOS 5, and that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. That solid standoff front end, that is. And it's a shorter frame as well. That's cool. I wonder when they're shipping. It's obviously pre-orders at the moment. Pre-orders £82 in the UK. So you're selecting the style at the moment. So you do select the style at order then. Love it when creators ruffle feathers on their opinion about something different from others. Yeah. Worried about going all Gamers Nexus on JB. I already did that. I already did that. That's why, for those who saw JB's thing, he showed my message. And if you know, and for those of you who may have seen it, I actually wrote, "Hey, Steve here from GN." I actually wrote that at the start of it already. Because, yeah, I was already in that mindset. No, look, my criticism of JB's frame was the word optimized for O3. Nothing to do with the frame, just I don't feel that was fair to say optimized for O3 when it didn't have camera soft mount. That frame, the Vani Style, has squished X. Does the squish get the props out of view? And it has soft mount. So win, 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 win. Can't type laughing too hard. I did write to JB as an update saying, "Hi, it's Steve here from GN." I thought sure you could flip the arms. Yeah, look, that's a nice frame. That is genuinely a lovely frame. We'll do well with TPE Ninja Flex. Yeah, print that'll be the ones. Now, does it come with the inserts, or have you got to print them yourself? Single standoff on the rear, yeah. Yeah, there does look to be 2 arm sets. Squish arm set. P. And True X. Yeah, they do seem to be different. Still, very nice. Spine plates. That is a nice quad. Right. Time to catch up on the chat. Let me just move in a bit closer so I can see. Andrew K, this is my first time catching you live, Mads Tech. Big fan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Hello, Timbo Sliced. How are you? Captain Kazi, thank you. Captain Kazi, I just want to say thank you for highlighting that. I don't know Vani. He probably doesn't know me. So me reaching out and saying, hey, send me a frame probably isn't going to happen. Vani is a superstar, and I'm a tiny, tiny, crazy man in a garage. If you break one of those arms, you're a psycho. But yeah, Vani doesn't, he won't know who I am. Other than this strange Welsh bloke. I'll ask him. Have you seen a YouTube channel with a guy you can't understand in the UK? Or have you seen a fat bald guy in a garage in the UK who can't fly? Genuinely, I think it's a nice frame. Genuinely, I think that's a nice frame. Didn't he? What does he fly these days, Vani? Is he Kiss? Is he? I can't remember. Yeah, I thought it was. I have a Kiss Ultra I could put in it. I do have a Kiss Ultra. I have a brand new one in a box. Yes, I know it's like rocking horse crap. Not the new one, the original. We are unique in Wales. Yes, we are Welsh FPV. I thought he was a Kiss man. I did think he was. If he's got a tune for a Kiss Ultra, that would be ideal. He swears by Kiss. Yeah, I know a lot of people do. Oh, I should update, actually. Wait a minute. Let me do one last thing. Right. My horrible, horrible alpha build that I had all sorts of problems with. My man, let me find him. My man, who is he? Almac FPV, he's probably not here. He sent me another tune, and my God, it actually solved my problems. That alpha build has been the worst quad I've ever had to tune. And he sent me a whole new tune based on Black Box. Put it on. Perfect. All of the problems gone away. I did also update to the new version of Alpha as well. So whether that helped, I don't know. It flew like a bag of crap and vibrated all over the place on the old version and tune. And it was just horrific. Patones, is it Patones? I have seen the images, not sure. I'm going to see. I have seen the images, but I'm really not sure. It's a bit early for another Mini 4 Pro yet. Bad for life. I've said 2P5D needs to be the alpha starting point. It's something stupid like 1.5 and 3 stock. Yeah, what did he send me? Let me just have a look. He sent me a screenshot of his tune. So his tune is... Let me just open it up. So his tune is 1.8, 2 and 2 on the P gain. And what did you say for D? 3D stock. His are 9 and 10 on pitch and roll and 3.4 on yaw. And that made dramatic difference. But D gain had to be up to 9 and 10. And only then did it start pulling all of the vibrations out. After that, it actually flew fine. It flew particularly well, to be honest. I can't even complain. That frame is the Flyfish RC. So it's a shit frame with bad design. I don't think it's the frame. I flew it with Betaflight without a problem. I've had no one else really complain about the Flyfish frame. Waiting for my Pavo Pico version 2, and I'm already planning to reduce jello. Any recommendations? Yeah, so soft mount the camera as much as you can. I haven't flown Alpha in a couple of months. Yeah, they may have changed it. So what I ended up doing on the Pico was drilling out the camera mounts on either side, not drilling out the hole completely, but opening up the hole and putting in vibration isolators in it, and then soft mounting the camera. Make sure you put it on 48 kilohertz because it doesn't come with 48 kilohertz on the ESC out the factory. And that pretty much gets it there. Hello from Poland. FPV Jan, how are you? I have a question. Do I lose my ham file by using DJI FPV app to preview the screen when flying? No. No, the only way you'll lose the ham file is if you update the firmware or reset the goggles back to factory settings. Bird Fam FPV, just want to say thank you for all you do for the community. You've helped me tremendously. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Just reading the chat. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. The chat isn't... I need to sort my monitor set about. I have a question. Do I lose my ham file? I just answered that one. Okay. Hopefully you just seen that one. So the only way you lose the ham file is by updating the firmware or resetting the goggles. Steve Jobs. I want to replace my O3 antenna with 2 linear whip antennas. What will the effect be on performance? Funny you say that. Right. I have been astonished at how well O3 works on the Pavo Pico with those tiny antennas. It's bloody crazy how well it works. I took it down to my flying field to test the G2 antennas, and what I used for that video was the Avata and the Pavo Pico. And the reason I used the Avata and the Pavo Pico was they are somewhat compromised. The Avata is somewhat compromised, and the Pavo Pico is absolutely compromised. But when I was flying it behind, like, the trees where I always lose signal, it was, like, behaving as normal. The penetration was really good. It was... I'm not going to say it's as good as the O3 antenna, but it is shockingly good considering the antennas on the Pavo Pico. I was like... why is this working? It's not as good, but it's not... I tell you what it is not like. It is not like Avatar on tiny antennas. But Avatar really struggles on antennas anyway. O3 is just so good. That's the thing. I've stripped my Pavo Pico right down now. I've got it. It's flying amazing. So mine is now at its peak Pavo. So now it is completely at its lightest. The O3 camera naked. I drilled out those and inserted vibration isolators. The O3 air unit is in the ultra mode. Cable tied in place. This is now a beast of a quad. I absolutely love this quad. I really do. It's freaking fantastic. Welsh FPV, quick question. Does the altitude density change quite often in Wales due to the consistently changing weather, as I do believe it would affect your PID tune? Potentially, yes, but not enough for us to really notice. It's always wet. Just get pre-made 2.4 gig linear antennas with UFL, cut the exposed middle wire down to 12.92 mil and convert to a 5.8. 20 pack costs $8, yeah. If I install the card with the ham file in the goggles, will I get it back? Yes. Just put it on, reboot, it'll be fine. And you don't need to leave it. O3 all day, but I'm getting Avatar just to fly in whoops. Yeah, you do save some weight. HW60A and HW65A are your new favourite ESCs. Peppermint with the Welsh PAD tune. Yeah, we probably need to take into account moisture level. Right. I am going to finish this one here. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for watching tonight. I really do appreciate it. I want to apologize for the weird start. I need to go and have a look at my router and stuff. Something has not been right tonight. I don't know if it's YouTube side or my side. The PC reboot definitely helped. However, things weren't perfect. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who donated via the Super Chats. If you don't know, I do have a Discord server. There is a link to it in the description. I also have a Patreon as well, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone on the Patreon. Oh, and don't forget to give it a like as well, as Omar has said. I really do appreciate that as well. Others having live stream problems. Okay, so maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it's YouTube. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to wait for the likes to get to 80. 77. 3 more. Come on. Come on, before I stop. 78. 2 more. 2 more. Higher. 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 Oh, 1 more. 1 more. 1 more. And I managed to get through a stream without forcing a mid-roll ad on you. Yay, we hit the 80. There we go. Stay safe, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.